everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Claudia, the Organized Homemaker, right here in my Georgia Zone 7B 8A garden. For today's video, we're going to be taking a tour of my garden for the month of February. As you can see, we have loads of daffodils blooming, but we also have a few shrubs that are also blooming, and I wanted to show you what the garden looks like each and every month. Each week, actually, starting this week. Because going forward, we're going to be having more and more blooms coming into play. So let's take a look. The first thing we're going to look at is this Daphne shrub up by my office. Isn't this beautiful, y'all? You can see it's putting out a lot of new growth. Last year I had to prune it because the polar vortex gave it a pretty good whack, but it has bounced back and is blooming ever so nicely. If you are considering getting an evergreen shrub that blooms early spring, this is a good one because it also smells very, very good. Also, you will notice going around the yard that different daffodils are all blooming. See, it's got a baby tulip right there. Vegetable garden is still going strong. I have quite a few brassicas still going, and I've planted strawberries, and I'm getting ready to do beets, carrots, peas, lettuce, potatoes, direct sow. The next thing that is blooming in the garden at the moment is this paper bush tree, or it's also called Edgeworthia. Look at these blooms, y'all. And the smell, it smells like a cross between a gardenia and a hyacinth. So it's a very pleasant smell. You walk by the shrub and you have a nice fragrance. Now this shrub in the summer is all green. It doesn't bloom again, but it is nice to have something in the yard blooming in early spring. We do have another one right over there by that patio area, so it's a nice burst of scent when you sit over there. Also in this bed are several types of daffodils that are currently blooming, as well as this quince shrub that I've got blooming too. Isn't that pretty? I love the color. The only drawback to this shrub, it has some vicious thorns until the leaves come out. So where you see a thorn will be a leaf node. See? It's leafing out already. So let's take a look over here, and you will see this type of daffodil. Isn't that beautiful? There's another variety over there with a orange throat, and it's yellow. Another variety that's blooming in this bed is this variety here. It's called Avon Scion, and I'll put the name on the screen. It blooms this beautiful ruffle, but it starts out green. And no two blooms are exactly the same, which is what's unique about this variety. It originated in Europe and has been in America over 400 years. A friend gave me some from her family homestead. You can see I have loads that haven't opened yet. This red twig dogwood is looking really pretty in that corner. See, my rose bushes are all breaking dormancy. Here is the other paper bush tree, and you can see it's got blooms also. This one is newer, younger than the one that I just showed you on the other side. Here are some more daffodils surrounding this bed. You can see the chrysanthemums are waking up. Veronica's waking up. We're over near the driveway garden beds. We did a lot of work in this bed in the fall, putting in all these rocks also this winter, and just digging up and pruning back and cleaning out this bed, and it's looking a whole lot better. Look at how this Fire Chief arborvitae pops against the yellow of these daffodils. Here are some more of those Von Sayon daffodils amongst a sea of just regular yellow daffodils. These have naturalized over the years, and I'm happy about it. This is very much alive. That's the color it gets in the winter months. Here's some more of the Von Sayon daffodils. Here is a different variety of daffodils. Isn't that pretty? It's got that white stripe down each petal. Then it's yellow with a yellow cup. More of the Fire Chief arborvitae. And look, this dianthus is starting to bloom already. You can see all kinds of things coming up. In this bed over here, we have our hyacinths. You can see those are up and blooming. And look, those are bearded iris, and they're getting ready to bloom also shortly. Give it another month and we'll have bearded iris blooms. Here's another hyacinth over there, and another one all the way down there. These daffodils here is a different variety, and I'll insert a picture of what those look like. They've not bloomed yet. We recently had a storm, and you can see all the gravel washed down in this bed. I'm still working on getting the gravel out of the bed and fixing it back all right. Other things blooming currently are the daffodils that I have planted in these pots, and you can see the tulips are also up. But one thing I want to show you is that my sweet peas, which I direct sow, I don't soak them. I don't always soak them. And you can see that they're also up. These are the sweet pea sprouts. I'm going to dig the coral bells up and plant them in the shade garden and allow the sweet peas to do their thing. Also blooming at this time is muscari. Isn't this pretty? I just love this purple, blue, violet color, and you can see it from across the yard. It's so vivid, and it's a nice contrast against the red bark of this coral bark Japanese maple. This Japanese maple adds nice contrast in the yard as well, and you can see it's budding, and it's going to be waking up fairly soon. Also blooming are all these daffodils in this bed. This shrub is a flowering almond, and it has tons of blooms waiting to come forth. I'll insert a picture of what that looks like when it does bloom, but you can see the daffodil show in this bed. This is a different variety. Here's another one of the flowering almond shrub. And again, it's fully loaded with buds. Here are some more Von Sion daffodils. What I've done is, as a clump becomes too large, it will over time stop blooming. This is referred to as being blind. And so what we do is you divide it, and then the next year it'll bloom again for you. But when when the bulbs go blind, it simply means that they're crowded and needs to be divided. The daffodils in the memorial garden have woken up as well. And these are also a different variety. They're huge. The blooms are humongous when you compare it with the others. And I love them. This is a weeping Japanese cherry tree and ready for us. You see all this green in the garden. These are all lilies and daylilies and irises that are waking up and doing their thing. More Von Sion daffodils. You can see where the water washed through this bed. I have some more work to come back and do, and I'm still pruning roses, so some beds are done. This long border in the front is not quite finished, but I'm working on it. More daffodils. This is a pancake arborvitae. Gives nice contrasting color, and I love the globular shape. And behind it is another red twig dogwood. More dogwoods. More daffodils. This is a different variety of daffodil. It's not fully open, but do you see that? I'm going to show you the open bloom. I put a picture on the screen of what it looks like when it's fully open. Another thing that's ready for spring is this double weeping peach. You can see all these buds on it. So full of buds. And everywhere you look, you see tulips that are coming up. Look at these tulips here. It's got little baby tulips in there. Almost ready. There's some more daffodils that haven't bloomed yet. But all around the yard, we have daffodils, tulips, and irises that are coming into bloom. There is another quince shrub over here. And then the contrasting color of this Thuja arborvitae. This is a James Reeves spirea. You can see it is leafing out, and it's got tons of blooms. You can see that it has tons and tons of little blooms. Hopefully we don't have a frost that kills the blooms like we did the last 2 years. If you'll notice over here, this clematis, this is a autumn joy clematis, and it is a native variety, and it is evergreen. I also planted some sweet peas in the pot to have wrap around this obelisk and this post and hopefully get some color. As you can see, I haven't pruned this bed yet. I pruned the roses, but not the hydrangeas. I got to come back through and get the hydrangeas put together. The last bed to take a look at is this back border. You can see we have a few daffodils back here, but you can see all the alliums and irises and different things that's coming up. And look at this Paul's Gold Cypress, how beautifully yellow it is. This is a Professor Sargent Camellia bush. Isn't that pretty? Look at how tightly packed those petals are. There's several more buds on here. And this will be blooming for a while. This evergreen. I moved this last year, so it's settling in here and rewarding me with more blooms than it ever gave where it last was. Wanted to fill in this place by the deck. Here's a bunch of daffodils that hasn't bloomed out yet, but you can see it has a lot of buds on it. It's a lot of stuff waking up. You can see all the green. More daffodils, more roses. More daffodils. Is this not beautiful? I just love all this happiness that spring gives. You can see the forsythia bushes are starting to also wake up, but they're not quite awake yet. Perhaps in our next video. You can see some yellow. This euonymus is an ever-present presence in the garden. It's just stately. The yellow and the green, it stands out. That is a lemon cypress here, and it looks beautiful. You see the sunset on the trees. Just beautiful. This is an abelia shrub that I cut back. Did a rejuvenation pruning on it because with my husband's injuries, I have not focused a lot on pruning except for the hydrangeas and the roses, and it shows. So I had to get it back together. Did some work in this bed this week so that I could just get to where I know it potentially can. I'm starting a lot of flowers from seeds, and I'm hoping to get several to put in here to add some more color. But so far it's looking good. Thank you for joining me today as we took a tour of the garden in this week in February. As you can see, the garden is waking up and there are lots of blooms to be had, mostly in the forms of daffodils. The quince and the Edgeworthia and Daphne plants have all woken up, and some hyacinths too, and are paying homage to spring. Follow along this season as we take the garden to a whole nother level. We're adding more roses, we're adding another fountain, and many, 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 many more plants to come. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. As always, happy gardening.